Good morning, students. Today we'll start with the next story, The Rat Trap. The writer is Selma Lagerlöf. She was a Swedish writer. She was the citizen of Sweden, whose stories have been translated into many languages. A universal theme runs through all of them. A belief that the essential goodness in a human being can be awakened through understanding and love. This story is set amidst the mines of Sweden, rich in iron ore, which figure large in the story and legends of that country. The story is told somewhat in the manner of a fairy tale. It is a fairy tale type story. The story goes like this: once upon a time. The beginning of the story tells us that it is a fairy tale. There was a man who went around selling small rat traps of wire. You know what is a rat trap? Means it is an instrument to trap rats. He made them himself at odd moments from the material he got by begging in the stores or at the big farms. Means the material from which he made the rat traps himself, he used to beg that material. But even so, the business was not especially profitable. Means he did not earn enough money. So he had to resort to both begging and petty thievery to keep body and soul together. Means sometimes he had to beg for meal and sometimes he had to steal meal also. Even so, his clothes were in rag. In rags means dirty, untidy, torn off. His cheeks were sunken. Sunken means malnutrition. And hunger gleamed in his eyes. His eyes told that he usually sleeps hungry. No one can imagine how sad and monotonous means boring, going on the same track, life can appear to such a vagabond. Vagabond is a person who always wanders from one place to another place, who plods along the road, left to his own meditations. Meditations mean he has no company. He has nothing to talk about. So he always thinks in his mind, and that is called meditations. But one day this man had fallen into a line of thought. Means while meditating, while thinking to himself or talking to himself in his mind, he thought an idea which really seemed to him entertaining, and that idea was very amusing to him. He had naturally been thinking of his rat traps when suddenly he was struck by the idea that the whole world about him, the whole world with its lands and seas, its cities and villages was nothing but a big rat trap. So what idea? One day he thought that this world is nothing but a big rat trap. And all the lands, all the seas, all the villages, means the complete world, it had never existed for any other purpose than to set baits for people. Means this world sets bait for the people. Bait is a piece of bread or a piece of cheese that we keep inside the rat trap to attract the rats. So in the same way, there are so many things in the world which attract the human beings, and as they are attracted towards it, they try to catch it and they are entrapped in this rat trap of the world. It is a very symbolic language. It is a big metaphor. The world is called a rat trap. It offered riches, joys. These all are baits. Riches, joys, shelter and food, heat and clothing. Exactly as the rat trap offered cheese and pork. And as soon as anyone let himself be tempted means attracted, to touch the bait, it closed in on him. And then everything came to an end. Means he is trapped in this world forever. The world had, of course, never been very kind to him. Here, the world means again the people living in the world. The people were never kind to him. So it gave him unwanted joy, means extreme pleasure he received when he thought of this idea that the whole world is a rat trap and all the people are entrapped in it. To think ill of it in this way, it became a cherished pastime of his during many dreary ploddings. Dreary ploddings means tired walkings. To think of people he knew who had left themselves to be caught in the dangerous snare. Snare here again means the rat trap. And of others who were still circling round the bed. So it became his usual pastime to think of the people, to think ill of the people, that they all are trapped in the snare. One dark evening, as he was trudging along the road, he caught sight of a little grey cottage by the roadside, and he knocked on the door to ask shelter for the night. Nor was he refused, means he was not refused. Generally he was refused. Generally people showed him sore faces. Generally people did not welcome. But this time he was not refused, means he was welcomed. Instead of sore faces which ordinarily met him, the owner, who was an old man without wife or child, was happy to get someone to talk to in his loneliness. He was welcomed this time by an old man because the old man himself was a lonely man. Immediately he put the porridge pot on the fire and gave him supper. He gave him supper to eat. Then he carved off such a big slice from his tobacco roll that it was enough both for the stranger's pipe and his own. Aajkal you people might have seen hookahs. So this is hookah. Pipe is a hookah. And he offered him tobacco with hookah also. Finally he got out an old pack of cards and played jolis with his guest until bedtime. Then he played cards with his guest. The old man was just as generous with his confidences as with his porridge and tobacco. He also talked to him. He also shared his secrets with the stranger. The guest was informed at once that in his days of prosperity, his host had been a crofter at Ramschow Iron Works. There was an iron mill nearby and he worked there as a crofter and had worked on the land also. Now that he was no longer able to day labor, means he has become old, so he could not work as a laborer. It was his cow which supported him. He had a cow. By selling the milk, butter and ghee, he used to earn his livelihood. Yes, that bossy was extraordinary. Bossy here is used for the cow. She could give milk for creamery every day, and last month he had received all of 30 kroner in payment. Means last month he got 30 kroner payment from the milk creamery. Creamery means the shop where he used to sell cream, butter, ghee or milk of the cow. The stranger must have seemed incredulous. Incredulous means could not believe. The crofter thought the stranger might not believe his story. For the old man got up and went to the window, took down a leather pouch which hung on a nail in the very window frame and picked out 3 wrinkled 10 kroner bills. Then he went and showed him 3 10 kroner bills, means notes. That these are the 30 kroners which I earned last month. These he held up before the eyes of the guest, nodding knowingly. And then stuffed them back into the pouch. After showing 30 kroner bill, he put the money back into the pouch. The next day, both men got up in the good season. The crofter was in a hurry to milk his cow, and the other man probably thought that he should not stay in bed when the head of the house had gotten up. So both of them got up. They left the cottage at the same time. The crofter locked the door and put the key in his pocket. The man with the rat trap said goodbye and thank you, and thereupon each went on his way. Both of them went from the home. But half an hour later, the rat trap peddler, the rat trap seller, peddler he's called, stood again before the door. He came back. He did not try to get in. He did not get in because the door was locked. However, he only went up to the window, smashed a pane, stuck in his hand, and got hold of the pouch with the 30 kroner. He just broke the window pane and stole those 30 kroner. He took the money and thrust it into his own pocket. Then he hung the leather pouch very carefully back in its place and went away. So the peddler stole the money from the crofter. As he walked along with the money in his pocket, he felt quite pleased with his smartness. He realized, of course, that at first he dared not continue on the public highway, but must turn off the road into the woods. He thought that it will be dangerous for him to walk on the public highway. Means people may catch him, police may be after him. Then the crofter would inform the police that his money is stolen. So they will try to find the peddler naturally. So he went into the woods, jungle. During the first hours, that caused him no difficulty. Later in the day, it became worse, for it was a big and confusing forest which he had gotten into. The forest was confusing, treacherous. He tried to be sure to walk in a definite direction, but the paths twisted back and forth so strangely. He walked and walked without coming to the end of the wood, and finally he realized that he had only been walking around the same part of the forest. Means he could not get out of that forest. All at once he recalled his thoughts about the world and the rat trap. Now he again thought of the rat trap, because this time he himself wasn't. All at once he recalled his thoughts about the world and the rat trap. Now his own turn had come. Now his own turn had come means now he himself was entrapped. He had let himself to be fooled by a bait and had been caught. So what was bait for him? That 30 kroner. The whole forest, with its trunks and branches, its thickets and fallen logs, closed in upon him like an impenetrable prison from which he could never escape. So he was trapped in the trap of world, rat trap of world. It was late in December. Darkness was already descending over the forest. This increased the danger and increased also his gloom and despair. Means as the night was falling, he became despair, hopeless. Finally, he saw no way out, and he sank down on the ground, tired to death, thinking that his last moment had come. Now he thought that no one could save him. He will definitely die. Some wild animal would devour him up. But just as he laid his head on the ground, he heard a sound, a hard, regular thumping sound. There was no doubt as to what that was. He raised himself, he got up. Those are the hammer strokes. What he heard were the strokes of hammer from an iron mill. As we know that there was an iron mill near the house of that crofter. He thought there must be people nearby. He summoned means collected all his strength, got up and staggered in the direction of the sound. He started walking towards the iron mill. The Ramshaw Iron Works, which are now closed down, were not so long. A large plant with the smelter, rolling mill, a forge. In the summertime, long lines of heavily lodged barges and scows slide down the canal, which led to a large inland lake. And in the winter time, the roads near the mill were black from all the coal dust which sifted from the big charcoal crates. So this is the description of the iron mill. During one of the long dark evenings, just before Christmas, the master smith and his helper sat in the dark forge near the furnace waiting for the pig iron. Means there was a man in the iron mill who was working there, which had been put on the fire to be ready to put on the anvil. Every now and then, one of them got up to stir the glowing mass with a long iron bar, returning in a few moments, dripping with perspiration. Perspiration here means sweat. Though as was the custom, he wore nothing but a long shirt and a pair of woolen shoes. So, person who was working in the iron mill, he was dressed in a long shirt and woolen shoes. All the time there were many sounds to be heard in the forge. The big bellows groaned and the burning coal cracked. The fire boy shoveled charcoal into the maw of the furnace. Into the maw of the furnace means into the mouth of the furnace, with a great deal of clatter. Clatter is the sound of throwing coal into the furnace. Outside roared the waterfall. There was a waterfall nearby. It was also roaring. Roaring means making sound, the sound of the falling water. And a sharp north wind whipped the rain against the brick-tiled roof. There was a roof. It was covered forge, no? It was probably on account of all this noise that the blacksmith did not notice that a man had opened the gate and entered the forge. And who was this man? The peddler. Until he stood close up to the furnace. The peddler went closer to the blacksmith. Surely it was nothing unusual for the poor vagabonds without any better shelter for the night to be attracted to the forge by the glow of light which escaped through the sooty panes and to come in to warm themselves in front of the fire. It was very usual scene there that the people used to, vagabonds means the people who lost their ways, used to come there and stay there for the night. The blacksmith glanced only casually and indifferently at the intruder. Intruder here is the peddler. He looked the way people of his type usually did, with a long beard, dirty, ragged, and with a bunch of red traps dangling on his chest. He asked permission to stay. The peddler asked him if I could stay here for the night. And the master blacksmith nodded a hearty consent, gave him consent, permission, without honoring him with a single word. He did not say anything, but only with his gesture he allowed him to stay there. The tramp did not say anything either. Tramp, again, tramp word is used for the peddler. He had not come there to talk, but only to warm himself and sleep. In those days, the Ramshaw's iron mill was owned by a very prominent iron master, whose great ambition was to ship out good iron to the market. He watched both night and day to see that the work was done as well as possible. And at this very moment, he came into the forge on one of his nightly rounds of inspection. The owner of this iron mill, who was called what? The iron master. He used to come to this forge day and night for inspection to see if the work is done properly. So he also came there at the same time. Naturally, the first thing he saw was the tall ragamuffin who had eased his way so close to furnace that steam rose from his wet rags. Means this is for the peddler who was sitting there, warming himself. The ironmaster did not follow the example of the blacksmiths, who had hardly designed to look at the stranger. He walked close to him, looked him over very carefully, then tore off his slouch hat to get a better view of his face. The ironmaster went closer to this stranger, the peddler, to watch him carefully to see who the person was. But of course, it's you, Niels Olof, he said. How you do look. He mistook him for his old acquaintance, Niels Olof. He called him by the name Niels Olof. How do you look? Means you are so ragged. You are looking so dirty. Why have you become so? The man with the rat traps had never before seen the ironmaster at Ramso and did not even know what his name was. But the peddler did not know the ironmaster. But it occurred to him that if the fine gentleman thought he was an old acquaintance, he might perhaps throw him a couple of kroner. He again became greedy, that if this ironmaster is thinking of him as his old acquaintance, he might give him something. Therefore, he did not want to undeceive him all at once. He did not say anything. Yes, God knows things have gone downhill with me. Things have gone downhill with me means the days are not good for me. I am passing through a very difficult time. He said, you should not have resigned from the regiment. Because he called him Niels Olof. So Niels Olof may be a person working with him in the army. Said the ironmaster, that was the mistake. If only I had still been in the service at the time, it never would have happened. Means if I also was there, I would never allow you to resign from the job. Well, now of course you will come home with me. Means he invited him to come home with him. To go along up to the manor house and be received by the owner like an old regimental comrade. That, however, did not please the tramp. Again, the word tramp is used for the peddler. So he did not like this idea of going with ironmaster, because in his heart he knew that he was not his old acquaintance. No, I could not think of it, he said, looking quite alarmed. He thought of 30 kroner. To go up to the manor house would be like throwing himself voluntarily into the iron's den, because he was already trapped after stealing 30 kroners and he did not want to increase his problems. He only wanted a chance to sleep here in the forge and then sneak away. Sneak away means run away. As inconspicuously as possible, and as when the dawn dawns, he will run away from the forge. The ironmaster assumed that he felt embarrassed because of his miserable clothing. But the ironmaster thought the other way. He assumed that this stranger is refusing to come with me because he was not dressed properly. Please don't think that I have such a fine home that you cannot show yourself there, he said. Elizabeth is dead, as you may already have heard. My boys are abroad, and there is no one at home except my oldest daughter and myself. Elizabeth may be his wife, she is dead, and his sons are living abroad, and he is alone at his home with his daughter. We are just saying that it was so too bad we didn't have any company for Christmas. The Christmas is coming and they did not have any guest. Now come along with me and help us make the Christmas food disappear a little faster. Means he is inviting him for the Christmas meals. But the stranger said no, and again no. And the ironmaster saw that he must give in. He must give in means he should not force him to come with him. It looks as though Captain von Stolle preferred to stay with you tonight, he said to the master blacksmith, and turned on his heel. Means he asked the blacksmith to take care of this man. This time he asked his name, Captain von Stolle. And he went away. But he laughed to himself as he went away. And the blacksmith, who knew him, understood very well that he had not said his last word. Means he had not completed his discourse. It was not more than half an hour before they heard the sound of carriage wheels outside the forge, and a new guest came in. Then another person came in the forge on a carriage. But this time it was not the ironmaster. The ironmaster did not come back. He had sent his daughter, apparently hoping that she would have better powers of persuasion than he himself. The second time, he sent his daughter to invite his old acquaintance to his room. She entered, followed by a valet carrying on his arm a big fur coat. She was not at all pretty, but seemed modest and quite shy. I mean, she was not a very beautiful girl, but she was very modest. Good means well-mannered and well-groomed girl. In the forge, everything was just as it had been earlier in the evening. The master blacksmith and his apprentice still sat on their bench, and iron and charcoal still glowed in the furnace. The stranger had stretched himself out on the floor and lay with a piece of pig iron under his head and his hat pulled down over his eyes. As soon as the young girl caught sight of him, she went up and lifted his hat. The man was evidently used to sleeping with one eye open. He jumped up abruptly and seemed to be quite frightened. When the girl, the daughter of ironmaster, came, she also went closer to that peddler. She took his hat off, who he was covering his face with his hat, and he was frightened. He woke up at once and he was frightened to see the girl. "My name is Edla Wilmanson," she introduced herself. Said the young girl, "My father came home and said that you wanted to sleep here in the forge tonight. And then I asked permission to come and bring you home to us." Means my father has informed me everything about you, so I have come you to take you to home with me. I am so sorry, Captain, that you are having such a hard time. Means you are passing through a difficult time. She looked at him compassionately. Compassionately here means kindly, with her heavy eyes, and then she noticed that the man was afraid. But this girl was very intelligent. She immediately noticed that the man is afraid, means there is something wrong with him. Either he has stolen something or else he has escaped from jail. Means either he was a thief or he was a escaper. He had escaped from jail. She thought and added quickly, "You may be sure, Captain, that you will be allowed to leave us just as freely as you came. Only please stay us over Christmas Eve." Means we'll not force you to live with us for longer time. You just come to us, enjoy your Christmas meals, then you are free to go back. She said this in such a friendly manner that the rat trap peddler must have felt confidence in her. He felt confidence. He felt faith, belief in the manner she talked. "It would never have occurred to me that you would bother with me yourself, miss," he said. "I will come at once." And he went with her. He accepted the fur coat which the valet handed him with a deep bow, threw it over his rags and followed the young lady out of the carriage without granting the astonished blacksmith so much as a glance. And he followed the young lady here, Edla. But while he was riding up to the manor house, he had evil forebodings. He had many evil ideas in his mind. Anything can happen to me. Why the devil did I take that fellow's money? He thought, now I am sitting in the trap and will never get out of it. He was cursing himself. Why did I steal those 30 kroner bills? The next day was Christmas Eve, and when the ironmaster came into the dining room for breakfast, he probably thought with satisfaction of his old regimental comrade whom he had run across so unexpectedly. Means the friend, the old acquaintance whom he had met today, he was very anxious to see him in the broad daylight. First of all, we must see to it that he gets a little flesh on his bones, means he eats properly. He said to his daughter who was busy at the table, and then we must see that he gets something else to do than to run around the country selling rat traps. Means we then also. It is queer that things have gone downhill with him. As I have already told you, things gone downhill means to have difficult period of life. As badly as that, said the daughter. Last night I did not think there was anything about him to show that he had once been an educated man. Means Edla at once doubted him in the forge, that he might not be the person his father was thinking of. He did not even look like an educated person. You must have patience, my little girl. Her father said, you have patience. Let him show up his face in the morning. He is my old acquaintance, said the father. As soon as he gets clean and dressed up, you will see something different. Last night he was naturally embarrassed. Means he was not looking like an educated person because of his difficulties. Next morning you will see. The tramp manners will fall away from him with the tramp clothes. Means as soon as he sheds off those tramp clothes, he would look like a proper gentleman. Just as he said this, door opened and the stranger entered. The peddler entered the room. Yes, now he was truly clean and well dressed. The valet had bathed him, cut his hair and shaved him. Moreover, he was dressed in good-looking suit of clothes which belonged to the ironmaster. He wore a white shirt and a starched collar and whole shoes. Means he was dressed like a gentle person. But although his guest was now so well groomed, the ironmaster did not seem pleased. But he was not looking pleased to look at the peddler. He looked at him with a puckered brow. Puckered brow means with a frown on his forehead. And it was easy to understand that when he had seen the strange fellow in the uncertain reflection from the furnace, he might have made a mistake. Now he realized that yesternight he was mistaken. The peddler was not the person that he was thinking about. But that now, when he stood there in the broad daylight, it was impossible to mistake him for an old acquaintance. Now, he was sure that he was not Niels Lof, Captain von Stoller. What does this mean? He thundered. He got angry. The stranger made no attempt to dissimulate. He saw at once that the splendor had come to an end. Splendor means the glamour. The beautiful dress to wear, the good lunch or breakfast to eat, that all had come to an end. It is not my fault, sir, he said. I never pretended to be anything but a poor trader. And I pleaded and begged to be allowed to stay in the forge. He only said, it is not my fault. I did not want to come to your house. I only wanted your permission to stay at the forge for the night only. It was you who compelled me to come to your house. but no harm has been done. At worst, I can put on my rags and go away. Means I know I am not your old acquaintance, I can go back even. Well, said the ironmaster, hesitating a little. It was not quite honest either. It was not honest on your part. Why did you not tell me that you are not Niels Love? You are not Captain von Stolle at night? You must admit that, and I should not be surprised if the sheriff here means police, would like to have something to say in the matter. Means I should call the police because you have deceived me, you have cheated me. The tramp took a step forward and struck the table with his fist. He also got angry. He struck that table with his fist. Now I am going to tell you, Mr. Ironmaster, how things are. Now I have told you. You have understood that I am not your friend and I am ready to go back. And I am even ready to give your clothes back to you. Then what is the harm? Why are you calling the police? Because he had already stolen 30 kroners. He did not want to face the police. This whole world is nothing but a big rat trap. All the good things that are offered to you are nothing but cheese, rinds and bits of pork set out to drag a poor fellow into trouble. He again repeated his philosophical line. And if the sheriff comes now and locks me up for this, then you, Mr. Ironmaster, must remember that a day may come when you yourself may want to get a big piece of pork and then you will get caught in the trap. Today I am caught in the rat trap by stealing 30 kroners. If you call the police and they throw me in the prison, one day will come when you will also be trapped in this rat trap for some other reason. This is very philosophical talk. The ironmaster began to laugh. That was not badly said, my good fellow. Perhaps we should let the sheriff alone on Christmas Eve. Means I will not call the police because today is Christmas Eve. But now get out of here as fast as you can. But you just leave my house. But just as the man was opening the door, the daughter said, I think he ought to stay with us today. I don't want him to go. And with that, she went and closed the door. The daughter did not allow him to go. That, what in the world are you doing? Said the father. The daughter stood there quite embarrassed and hardly knew what to answer. The morning she had felt so happy when she thought how homelike and Christmassy she was going to make things for the poor hungry wretch. The daughter already knew that he was a thief. Even then she invited him and she wanted to help a poor person on Christmas. And she requested her father to allow him there. She could not get away from the idea all at once. And that was why she had interceded for the vagabond. Interfered with his in his father and vagabond's discourse. I am thinking of this stranger here, said the young girl. He walks and walks the whole year, and there is probably not a single place in the whole country where he is welcome and can feel at home. Means no one welcomes him. Wherever he turns, he is chased away. Always he is afraid of being arrested and cross-examined. I should like to have him enjoy a day of peace with us here, just one in the whole year. So let us allow him to enjoy one good meal a year on the Christmas Eve with us. The ironmaster mumbled something in his beard. He could not bring himself to oppose her. He could not oppose his daughter. So he allowed. It was all a mistake, of course, she continued. But anyway, I don't think we ought to chase away a human being whom we have asked to come here and to whom we have promised Christmas cheer. We have invited him, so we cannot throw him out of the house on the Christmas Eve. You do preach worse than a person, said the ironmaster. I only hope you won't have to regret this. Means if he steals something from our house, then what? The young girl took the stranger by the hand and led him up to the table. Now sit down and eat, she said, for she could see that her father had given it. The man with the rat trap said not a word. He only sat down, helped himself to the food. Means he ate the food. Time after time, he looked at the young girl who had interceded for him. Why had she done it? He was surprised why the girl requested her father to allow him to stay with them for one day. What could the crazy idea be? After that, Christmas Eve at Ramsos passed just as it always had. The stranger did not cause any trouble because he did nothing but sleep. The stranger, after eating the food, slept there. The whole forenoon he lay on the sofa in one of the guest rooms and slept at one stretch. At noon they woke him up so that he could have his share of good Christmas fare, but after that he slept again. It seemed as though for many years he had not been able to sleep as quietly and safely as here at Ramsos. In the evening, when the Christmas tree was lighted, they woke him up again, and he stood for a while in the drawing room, blinking as though the candlelight hurt him, but after that he disappeared again. They called him for the Merry Christmas, but after some time he again went back to sleep. 2 hours later he was aroused once more. He then had to go down into the dining room and eat the Christmas fish and porridge. Then it was time for supper. He was called again to eat. As soon as they got up from the table, he went around to each one present and said thank you and good night. After eating the supper, he said them thank you, good night, and went away. But when he came to the young girl, she gave him to understand that it was her father's intention that the suit which he wore was to be a Christmas present. Means the suit that he was wearing was, he can keep that suit with him as a Christmas gift. He did not have to return it. And if he wanted to spend the next Christmas Eve in the place where he could rest in peace, means she also invited him to come to their house the next year on Christmas and be sure that no evil would befall him. Means they would not hand him over to the police. He would be welcomed back again. They will welcome him again. The man with the rat traps did not answer anything to this. He did not answer the girl. He only stared at the young girl in boundless amazement. He was surprised at the behavior of the girl. The next morning, the ironmaster and his daughter got up in good season to go to the early Christmas services. Early Christmas service means they were ready to go to church. Their guest was still asleep and they did not disturb him. They did not wake him up and they went to church. When at about 10 o'clock they drove back from the church, the young girl sat and hung her head even more dejectedly than usual. At church she had learnt that one of the old crofters of the ironworks had been robbed by a man who went around selling rat traps. Yes, that was fine fellow you let into the house, said the father. अब उनको पता चला कि someone had stolen 30 kroners of the crofter. Father at once said to daughter, कि that is the man who is staying with us in our home. I only wonder how many silver spoons are left in the cupboard by this time. He might have stolen our silver spoons. The wagon had hardly stopped in front steps when the ironmaster asked the valet whether the stranger was still there. He asked his servant if the man was there. He added that he had heard at church that the man was a thief. The valet answered that the fellow had gone and that he had not taken anything with him at all. Means he had not stolen anything from their house. On the contrary, he had left behind a little package which Miss Manson was to be kind enough to accept as a Christmas present. He had left a gift for Adela. The young girl opened the package, which was so badly done up that the contents came into a view all at once. She gave a little cry of joy. She was very happy to see the gift. She found a small rat trap, and in it lay 30 wrinkled 10 kroner notes. There was a rat trap, and inside the rat trap, those stolen 30 kroner notes. But that was not at all. In the rat trap lay also a letter written in large jagged characters. Honored and noble miss, since you have been so nice to me all day long, as if I was a captain, I want to be nice to you in return, as if I was a real captain, for I do not want you to be embarrassed at this Christmas season by a thief. As you have treated me like a captain, so I do not want you to feel embarrassed for my thievery. But you can give back the money to the old man on the roadside. Means do you give these 30 kroners back to the crofter, who has the money pouch hanging on the window frame as a bait for poor wanderers. The rat trap is a Christmas present from a rat who would have been caught in the world's rat trap. Means I would also have been caught up. But it was your behavior that saved me, if he had not been raised to captain. So he went away and his heart was changed.